Hello, my name is Becky Bennigson, and this is my PE 589 Physical Education and Exercise Science Capstone Study presentation. This study is called Insufficient Physical Activity Amongst Former College Athletes. The purpose of the study was to examine the influence of insufficient physical activity participation in the health of former college athletes. The research questions go as followed. How does insufficient physical activity impact the physical health of former college athletes? And how does the insufficient physical activity influence the emotional health of college athletes? This study was selected due to my personal experience and communicating with a few of my friends who are also college athletes. We have all participated with about maybe 4 or 5 years of college activity, college sports activity, and transitioning into the real world has been difficult. A lot of us talk about all the weight that we've gained, and I wanted to conduct a study that showed the reason why. Physically, what makes us have these difficulties, and emotionally what's going on with our body and our mind and our soul and everything that goes as follows. So my values and faiths and beliefs go through my personal experience. I want to find out what I can do as a coach and as an educator to educate my student athletes in the classroom and on the field, what they can do to benefit their lives after they play sports. My Strength Quest quiz indicated that it was restorative, so I like to fix problems. I want to fix this problem. I want to be somebody who can go out and change this issue that is always reoccurring. I am also a developer, so I want to build healthy athletes. I don't want anyone to go through my experience where I struggled with my weight for about 2 or 3 years after I played until I found being comfortable in my own body and found a healthier way to actively live my lifestyle. And then positivity. I want to be that positive outlook to my athletes, just as a couple of coaches that I have experienced have done to me. So one of the articles that I'm going to talk about was from J.S. Pauline. She created this study about physical activity behaviors, motivation, and self-efficiency among college students. There was about 420 female college students and 451 male college students, all between the ages of 18 to 24, freshmen, sophomore, junior, and seniors in college. They were given a motivation questionnaire and then also a Likert scale that was based off of their self-efficiency in physical activity. About 17% had about less than 30 minutes of physical activity, and 20% didn't even participate in physical activity. Right there is roughly 40%, so that's a huge number. She concluded that there was a need for more exercise amongst college students, and I wanted to relate that because college students are kind of like college athletes. They finish school, they don't live at home with their family anymore, and they end up going into this real world where they have to kind of base off what they eat, what they do, exercise, and managing their time and effort and everything. And when they're not balancing it right, they are obviously not focusing on exercise. They're focusing on partying. They're focusing on jobs, school, life, everything. And exercise and eating healthy gets pushed off to the side. So when a college athlete is done with their career, they're exhausted and they're focusing more on their lifestyle and what else is going on at that time. And that's what creates insufficient physical activity. The second article, Dogny created a study based on exercise that can seriously improve mental health, if it was true or if it was false. It really focused on the benefits of exercise. I don't think a lot of people actually know, like, of course, physical activity is going to make you look healthier and feel healthier, but mentally, what is that doing to your brain? And so he took all these different studies, there was 11 of them, where patients were diagnosed with depression, and majority of them are female, but a lot of those female participants didn't physically exercise. So he put 2 and 2 together, and the study resulted in participants who had active lifestyles had less exposure to getting depression at some point in their life. So he concluded that the effects of mental health and physical activity relate. And I believe that with being a former college athlete, you are in this relaxed state. You're done with putting your body out there for hundreds of hours a year, and you're in this state where you can finally relax and not be told what to do. So you get in this relaxed state, and some people end up not exercising at all and becoming in a depressed, saddened mood. So in that way, it kind of relates to insufficient physical activity amongst college athletes. The third article, I thought it was kind of interesting because it was based off 3 different countries, and I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, Chu Hyson, created a study where the influence of personality and motivation on exercise participation and the quality of life. So he and the other researchers created this personality and motivation 7-point scale questionnaire, and it was sent out to the 3 different countries: Europe, Taiwan, and the United States. And in the results, it came back as like Europeans scored sufficiently lower in physical activity, where Taiwan and the United States kind of remained in the middle. But they all concluded that the higher levels of emotion stability and the more exercise, there was more motivation towards having a longer life. And I really wanted to focus on this study and bringing it into my study, because if you have a better experience and you have a great leader that has positive attitude, positive lifestyle, you're going to relate that to in your life. So if a college athlete has a coach that typically wasn't their favorite, they didn't have a great situation in college where they wanted to quit, they felt beat up on, felt burnt out, they're not going to be physically active afterwards either, because they had this memory of hate and dissatisfaction towards physical activity. So this kind of related to my study because of the motivation and personality towards physical activity. My methodology was a quantitative and mixed method study. I created a 44-question questionnaire that's called insufficient physical activity. It had multiple choice, fill in the blank, Likert scales. I ended up emailing it out to a couple former college coaches that I know. Most of them were junior college coaches, a couple 4-year coaches, and then I had them send it out to their athletes. I don't have a number of how many athletes there were, because they kind of just have an alumni email thing and just boop, sends out, and they didn't tell me. And then I also broadcasted it on social media to friends that I know. The questionnaire was electronic. I created it on a Google Drive, and all the participants who were interested emailed me first. I sent them out the consent form, and once I got their signature back, I sent out the link to the questionnaire. My results, I had about 28 participants, 15 were male and 13 were female. One of the questions I asked was, if they had gained weight, stayed the same, or lost weight since they participated in college sports. And about 42% stated that they had gained weight, 28% said that they had stayed the same, and 28% said they lost weight. This was one of the main questions that I wanted to know, just to kind of get a feel of my participants and what they felt during their time afterwards. So I also asked about their college experience, if they felt burnt out. 11 of them, which was 39%, said sometimes. 42% said yes, and 17% said no. So I feel like a majority of them, 42%, both gained weight and said that they felt burnt out, related the same. So we're going on. I had 60% said that they had a good transition from going on playing college sports to transitioning to the real life. 28% said that they had a hard time transitioning, and 10% said somewhat of a hard time transitioning. What I found interesting is one of the Likert scale questions. On the very unsatisfied part, I had 21% say that they were unsatisfied with their physical activity, 17% with their eating habits, 14% with their weight, and 10% with their physical activity, which to me, I'm shocked on these numbers. But through the discussion, I realized that a lot of these participants had difficulty making time for exercise. And they felt so unsatisfied with their body weight and their image. They had limited time and effort towards exercise. And based on their experience, they were either motivators or unmotivated. So half of them were ones that liked to be motivated to work out, and other ones were the ones who were the motivators to work out. So some of them would keep kind of like the same routine, and it wouldn't create any change. So it was hard to keep up with keeping a healthy body and making that transition. So some of my recommendations for the future and so on, as all of us that are becoming physical educators and coaches and life changers basically, just motivate everyone to exercise when they're done with playing their sport. I know a lot of them get burnt out and it's hard to transition, but it needs to happen. Educate them on their mental health. Physical activity does help them mentally. Communicate with them how they're feeling while they're playing. It's hard to see how they're feeling with the situation of constantly working out and not knowing what's going on in the brain. Be that example and tell your story of what's going on with your life and how you can bring it on to their athletes and how to manage their time wisely. Thank you for this opportunity.